might look all calm and serene here in the surroundings, but outside, in the streets of Ahmedabad, in the street of every major city in India, in the streets of the smallest towns in India, RCB fans are out there celebrating, crackers are going off, streets are jammed. Bangalore has come to a standstill, so has Hyderabad and a lot of cities, and for one reason and one reason only. Royal Challengers Bengaluru are the 2025 Indian Premier League champions. A wait that has been 18 years long, that's been filled with agony and emotional roller coaster year after year of frustration in terms of the kind of seasons and the losses they've had in terms of the squads they have assembled. But it all turned out uh, to be destiny in many ways that the 18th edition of the IPL is where number 18 Virat Kohli got his hands on the Indian Premier League trophy. Uh, Royal Challengers Bangalore beat Punjab Kings by 6 runs. The margin is very minimal, but the margin is very minimal, but it was not as close as it looked. Punjab Kings, filled with uncapped players, came into the final with a lot of momentum. They played like the final. They actually bowled really well. If bearing a few cameos here and there, RCB posted 190. Uh, when at the halfway mark, it did seem like Punjab have it in the bag, but the the occasion batting in front of 90,000 fans, almost 80-85% of them cheering for RCB. It felt like watching an India Pakistan or an India Australia ODI World Cup match in the same city at the Narendra Modi Stadium. A very partisan crowd, which was completely silent when things were not going RCB's way, but cheering on and changing the momentum every time. The bowlers ran in every time they were out in the middle, and to an extent, it sort of weighed on all the uncapped players who were out in the middle, and we sort of lost the momentum little after the power play. That's what Ricky Ponting admitted after the match. But in the end, once the Shreyas Iyer got out early to Romario Shepherd, and from there on, it was just a too steep a mountain to climb. In the last over, they needed almost 30 runs. First couple of balls, Shashank Singh missed, including a full toss from Josh Hazelwood, and that's when Kohli sort of broke down. He was in tears, standing outside the boundary line was AB de Villiers. They had the whole team together. They had brought in the 18 sorts. Chris Gale was in the stands as well. And as and but the last 4 balls all went for boundaries. It ended up being a 6-run margin, but none of it mattered. From the moment the last ball went off Shashank's bat over extra cover, Kohli dropped down on his knees and he buried his face into the ground and cried his heart out. He was surrounded and piled on and embraced by every single RCB member who ran towards him. And in as many words, they did it for him. Kohli played a knock, a 35 ball 42 of sorts, sort of the kind that more often than not lose matches. But here, as it has been through the season, they had a squad, they had players who did the cameos that allowed Kohli to do whatever he wanted to do and play the situation. Jidesh Sharma had a couple of good overs, and Livingston hit a couple of big boundaries, and so did Romario Shepherd. A couple of drop catches from Punjab did cost them, but RCB was just too good with the ball. Especially Krunal Pandya, he had won already 3 IPL titles with Mumbai Indians. Here he was the man who has been there, done that. He was the player of the final in 2017 when Mumbai Indians won by 1 run against Rising Pune Super Giants. Here he was tightening the ropes, tightening the chase in the middle overs, 4 overs, 2 for 17 in a big match final in the chase of 191. That proved to be the game changer for RCB, and he ended up being the player of the final again as RCB finally brought that long-awaited cup home. Mind you, the women had already won their first trophy in 2024 Women's Premier League. Then Smriti Mandhana led the RCB women to the title. That was the first trophy that RCB had ever won, and now Rajat Patidar, the captain from MP, the quiet, unassuming uh, young leader led them to the title on the back of a stellar bowling performance, whether it's Josh Hazelwood, Kunal Pandya, Shreyas Sharma. They all came to the party, they all stepped up. Hazelwood had a bad day, but it did not matter. None of it mattered as Rajat Patidar got his hands on the trophy and went and handed it over to Virat Kohli. Kohli, as he was very emotional, he even spoke at length about a lot of things, about how much this trophy is about the fans as it is what it is to him. He said it ranks right up there, but he also spoke about how it's probably 5 runs below the achievements in Test cricket. He recently retired from the longest format of the game, one that he holds very, very dearly. But that's not what Tuesday night was about. That's not what this match was about. This match was about a bunch of youngsters led by Shreyas Iyer, running their way to the final, going up against an experienced, proven match winners, a squad that's well put together by Mo Babat, Andy Flower, the man who knows how to win trophies again, and then of course Dinesh Karthik, Malone Rangarajan. They put together a squad, probably the best bowling attack they've had ever, and Kohli admitted that as well. He said that it is the bowling unit that won the championship this time for RCB, and the celebrations broke out. It was crazy, whether it's in the streets, outside the stadium. Even before the match began, it was very clear whose days it was going to be. Much like it was a sea of blue during the ODI World Cup with this winning, it was a sea of red and maroon and red and black as RCB fans filled the stadium. None of them left as they wanted to see what they have waited for 18 years. They wanted to see their team. They wanted to see Virat Kohli get his hands on the IPL trophy, and then he was getting the trophy, celebrating, taking it to the fans in the stands. And there is a buzz almost 3 hours after the final. Bangalore is still celebrating. So is every city. Such is the following Virat Kohli has, and so is the case with RCB. They this is a victory. This is a feeling they have earned and longed for 18 years. They this is a victory. This is a feeling they have earned and longed for 18 years, and they have their moment. They are the winners of the 18th edition of the IPL, beating Punjab Kings by 6 runs. And before we break down into a lot of things, we have to talk about Punjab Kings, the kind of campaign they had, led by Shreyas Iyer, and of course we're keep wanting. They they dismantled the entire squad. They just had Shashank Singh and Prabhsimran Singh, and then put together a squad that's filled with a core of young players. Ashdeep Singh and Shreyas Iyer, the only two capped Indians in the 11. And then, of course, they had Josh Inglis, they had Marco Jansen, who had to leave before the playoff because of the WTC commitments. And then they have, of course, Glenn Maxwell, who was injured, but it was Shreyas campaign through and through. Every time he walked out, he made a statement. Even at the toss on the final, he said that he's going to play it like a final, embrace the occasion, and he had already envisioned lifting the trophy. Even after the final, he said, "Job's only half done. He's coming back again for the trophy next year." Big, uh, big applause to them for the kind of campaign they've had, and it seems pretty clear they have a good another 2 years ahead of them. The squad they have built, but coming back to the winners, they have they have also sort of dominated right from out front, but right when just before the IPL got suspended, there was a few issues going around. Tim David was injured, Rajat Patidar was injured, Josh Hazelwood was injured, and that 8 day suspension sort of allowed them to breathe. And then there was a rain washout as well. It allowed Patidar to come back. It allowed Hazelwood to come back for the playoffs. But again, it was not just about that. It was about Phil Salt, who flew back for the birth of his child and landed on the body of the match, came to the ground. He got out early, but he took the first catch in the rope in the boundary, sort of put it up in the air, went ahead of the ropes, and came back in to complete the catch, the one that got it off Brian Sharia. And then Jitesh Sharma played a cameo. That's what he's done throughout the season. His knock against Lucknow is what gave them momentum and put them in the top two finish as well. And then, of course, Lane Livingston had a good over, and then Mayank Agarwal, remind you, he was not in the original squad. He came in as a replacement for Devdutt Padikkal. And Devdutt Padikkal too was the podium on Tuesday night. And then, of course, in the bowling department, it's Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Shreyas Sharma, They've all did their parts for this win to happen for RCB, and in many ways, it is more often than not, it is about the squad building they have done and executing the plans which they did right through the tournament, and it felt like to understand what it means to the RCB fans or even the players themselves. All you had to look at the faces of the likes of Virat Kohli and maybe de Villiers and Rajat Parida. They were all in tears. You know what it meant, and they understood the occasion. It is not easy when you have 90,000 fans expecting you to win in the ground. It is not easy to. It is very easy to be overburdened by that expectation. Is and they have fans. They had fans who were on the streets doing all sorts of superstitions in the lead up to the final. They, no matter what, they just wanted RCB to win. And then there is, of course, same goes for the Karnataka government as well. Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar had put on the RCB jersey and wished for them. Former England Prime Minister Rishi Sunak was on the stands. He was rooting for RCB and celebrating as well. When you have such a following, when you have such kind of a adulation, it's easy to get overwhelmed by it. It's easy to get overwhelmed by the occasion. Something they have experienced in the past, but unlike the past seasons where they chased, this is a team that had all the markers of becoming a winning team, who knew how to win, who knew how to handle pressure. Josh Hazelwood, multiple World Cup winner, Kunal Pandya, multiple IPL title winner, and they all just showed a nerveless display on the final day to make sure Virat Kohli eventually got his hands on the trophy. In his own words, he has given his youth, he has given his prime, and he has given his experience to this team. And the rest of the team actually won it for him, and he would not regret it one bit. Neither would any of the RCB fans, as it could not, the story, the script for their victory, for their success, the celebration, the joy they are experiencing right now could not have been written better in many ways. It felt like, a destiny or fate, as many would want to call it. Right from the beginning of the season, it felt like number 18 and Kohli. That's been the narrative going on, and uh, there were flaws, but come the big day, they stepped up big time, and here we are. RCB are the IPL champions. They are not, and here we are. RCB are the 2025 IPL champions. So that's it for this season of IPL from the New Indian Express. Obviously, we will be covering the parade and everything else that happens in Bangalore, and of course the England Test series where India will be flying out on June 5th. We will be there to break down all that, and soon our correspondent Firoz Mirza will be in England, bringing you all the coverage from the third Test. But for now, we will sign off with the fact that RCB are the 2025 Indian Premier League champions. And this is Gomesh signing off from Ahmedabad.